the mass shootings in this country are, well, as you know, completely and utterly out of control. We just had one in Planned Parenthood last Friday, and we just had another one yesterday in San Bernardino. In that case, 14 people killed and 21 injured. Now, whether it was a Muslim fundamentalist who did it in San Bernardino, as it looks like it was, and a Christian fundamentalist who did it in the Planned Parenthood shooting, as it looks like it was, or it's just a random crazy guy in Virginia Tech or Aurora, Colorado, or Sandy Hook, you name it, they all have access to weaponry, and the shootings keep on going. Did you know that yesterday, as the San Bernardino shooting was happening, there was another mass shooting in Savannah, Georgia? So there's two different definitions that people use for mass shooting. The FBI used the definition of 4 people killed in a shooting, then they call that a mass shooting. The other accepted definition is 4 people shot. So in the Savannah, Georgia one, it was 4 people that were shot, 3 injured, and 1 killed, right? That was such little news, even though their local news didn't cover it that much. Only one of the local TV stations covered it. Oh, a mass shooting, 4 people shot? That's so normal in Savannah, Georgia, that the local stations in Savannah don't even cover it. That's how grotesque this situation has become in America, right? So, by the way, since the Planned Parenthood shooting, there's been 3 mass shootings. In fact, let's use the FBI definition. Let's use the second definition first, which is 4 people shot, not 4 people killed. 4 people shot, if you count that way, in the 336 days of 2015 so far, there have been 355 shootings, mass shootings. So there are more mass shootings than the number of days in 2015, more than 1 a day in the country. Again, 4 people shot in one shooting at least is considered a mass shooting for that index. More than 1 a day. It's crazy. The rest of the world doesn't live this way. Do you know that in Germany, the white people in this country, so put aside race, right? You know, the blacks and Latinos are shot disproportionately by cops in this country than white Americans. But eliminate blacks and Latinos, just look at white Americans, they're shot by our cops at 26 times the rate of Germans. So now, why are the cops in that case doing the shooting? Because the cops are also worried that everybody's got guns. So there's a number of reasons why the cops do the shooting, but one of them is they're like, I don't know, man, there's 250 million guns. I assume every person has a gun. So that's part of the reason that they shoot unarmed people, armed people, etc. Even for white people in this country, they're getting shot by cops at 26 times the rate of in Germany, let alone the criminals who are doing the mass shootings. Okay. Now, if you take the FBI definition, is the number dramatically lower? That's 4 people shot and killed, qualifying as a mass shooting. So in 2015, how many people shot and killed in mass shootings so far? 462 people have been killed and 1,314 wounded. Now, some of those were terrorist acts like the one in San Bernardino, right? But most of them were not. What is the real danger in America? Some of it is terrorism, right? But overall, the biggest danger is mass shootings. One mass shooting after another, literally. And now there's the issue of the non-mass shootings, which are even greater. So let's go to Ted Alcorn there. He's a research director at Everytown for Gun Safety. So they're in favor of some gun control. He says, you have 14 people dead in California, referring to the San Bernardino shooting, and that's a horrible tragedy. But likely, according to the statistics, 88 other people died today from gun violence in the United States. He said that yesterday. 88 other people on top of the 14 killed. Shootings on top of shootings on top of shootings. There's no end to it here in the United States. The answer is gun control. So look, I know that some Second Amendment advocates can't read, and so they only read half of the Second Amendment. But if you read the full Second Amendment, it says a very important clause about a well-regulated militia. We don't have well-regulated militias. That has nothing to do with what's going on in this country. Instead, we have unregulated mass shooters. So for all of our health, safety, and lives, for our families' lives. So this isn't a random terrorist bombing in New York or Paris or even in the shooting in San Bernardino. The mass shooters are everywhere. They're in Colorado, they're in Florida, they're in Connecticut, they're in California. They're everywhere. When are we going to do something about this? And again, I ask you the question, how many would it take? If one mass shooting a day doesn't do it, what will do it? Would 2 mass shootings a day on average get us to change our mind about gun control? Would right now over 100 people die from shootings every day in America? If the number is 200 or 500, would it make a difference? Or is there no amount of killings that will get us to say, hey, you know what? Maybe the politicians doing the NRA's bidding because they're taking their money is not a good way to run our democracy. Maybe we should find a way to have those politicians represent us, be our representatives, instead of the representatives of their donors. Because 93% of Americans want federal background checks. It is the simplest, the most tame legislation you could have. And even that is defeated in the House and the Senate because it's a wholly owned subsidiary of the NRA. How many of our neighbors, our family, and friends have to get killed before we say enough is enough? Okay, we can't have this anymore from the NRA. I don't know what it's going to take to convince politicians. And the reality is nothing. The only thing that'll convince politicians is cold, hard cash. They don't care about cold, dead bodies, okay? They just care about the cash. So that's why I keep telling you about Wolfpack, because the only way to solve the problem is to make sure that the money isn't flowing into politics. Otherwise, all you're going to have is a system full of people who are bribed for a living. And people who are bribed don't care about the citizens. They care about the people who gave them the bribe. And in this case, it's gun manufacturers. Wake up, America. Wolf-pack.com. You got to join us. We got to fix this.